Alright guys, we're back. Check this out. Euro versus the Australian dollar. A bit of a tricky situation we have here, but I wanted to share with you my insights. I was actually advocating for a downside move up until today. And I also had a very small position, bearish position in place. And I decided to pull out, and later on this actually decided to flip over and pull the trigger on a bullish position. I want to show you why I decided to do that. So from the medium-term perspective, from the medium to long-term perspective, we have a bearish setup. Very strong, solid bearish setup. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to show you, it's coming from the weekly chart. And you can see that price last came from the upper section, the very edge, the top resistance here, managed to turn around and make its way towards the lower section. At some point right here, it began to trade sideways as if to correct the first downside segment. So that was kind of a technical correction. I think we're still in it. And I think there's one more leg that we should see on the upside before price will resume and merge with that medium-term cycle. So when we're looking at the short-term cycle right now, we actually see the positive potential for price to go back again. Take a look. We're talking about this particular key level. This is a massive one, right? We're talking about 59.75, 159.75. These are two separate key levels, falls one on top of the other. The mid-high key level of the blue system with the mid-high key level of the purple system, which means that's like a very strong magnetic field, if you will, which should attract price to it. But once price reach that key level, I think it will repel it and send it back on the downside. Now, when I go back to the daily chart, then we can zoom in here on just the previous month or so, right? Probably actually 2 months, where price began to trade sideways, but it did that in a very, very narrow range. So in fact, it was building up a lower scale trading range within a bigger one. But if I analyze this movement, right, and I'm trying to count the different leg that we have here, I think we're looking at, so here's the count basically. That was the first, that was the second, there's no doubt about that. Here it becomes more complex. So I think this really, pretty volatile movement up until the very edge of that setup, right? The top resistance here is 61. That was a one leg. That's how I counted. I think that was the third leg up until that resistance here, which means that what we had up until today was the fourth leg. And if that's the case, then I think it's more likely that we'll see the fifth leg beginning to build up here. I would definitely want to see price break above this resistance, this local obstacle, 58.36. I'm going to keep my position very small until we can see that breakout from that 58.36. At that point, I'll probably try to increase the position as we go forward and close in on the higher section here. Our price target 59.75. So you can see my stop loss level. The initial placement here is 56.80, and if price is not going to continue with this positive momentum but instead begin to pull back, I will consider to close that position relatively undamaged with very small loss, and possibly consider even flipping over, of course. So it's very important that we'll keep this upside move, and probably by the end of the day, tomorrow, the next day or two, we should be breaking 58.36. That's going to be enhancing our conviction and add to our confidence on this one. All right, Euro versus the Australian dollar, short-term cycle on the upside, medium to long-term cycle on the downside. Let's see how this one is going to play out. That's about that for this one, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.